Welcome back, Pokemon trainers. Professor Chaz here. The lab coat's on back order, and the time has finally come. The wait is finally over. It's time for the Theme Deck Showdown of the Ancient Origin theme decks. We got Stoneheart and Irontide. Which of these two decks is the more powerful of the two? Which one is going to come out the victor? Which of these two decks is the one that you want to pick up when you want to get your friend into the TCG, and you're both going to start with a theme deck, you know, because you want to win. So we're going to see who is the better of the two. We got Regirock and its grass-type friends on one side, Metagross and a water deck on the other side. Let's get into a match and find out. And as the two combatants shake hands, the match is now getting started. I myself will be playing on the side of the Stoneheart deck using the Regirock and friends, and my nephew will be acting as my professor's aide for the day. He's going to play the Irontide deck with Metagross. So here we draw our 7 cards for our starting hand. Looks like I am set up with some basics in hand, and I believe Irontide has basics as well. So fortunately, no mulligans, no reshuffles for this match. We'll set our 6 prize cards to the side for the duration of the game. And so at this point, I realized that we actually forgot to do the official coin flip to see who takes the first turn. So my nephew was gracious enough to allow Stoneheart to take the first turn this time. See, Porygon and Spinnerack are set up on my side with 2 Meowth on Irontide's side. There's not very much I can do with the cards in hand at the moment. I'm just going to attach a Grass Energy to Porygon to get it ready for the next turn, and hand it over to Irontide. So with only a couple of Meowth to deal with, we're going to get a level ball played from Irontide. Let you search your deck for any Pokemon card of 90 HP or less, and take it into your hand. A couple of good options for Irontide would be to either search for Beldum, perhaps. Well, I couldn't get any of the other Regi characters. Here we have Regice and Regirock. No, Regice and Registeel. And they're both at 120 HP, so they opt for Beldum. And then reshuffle the deck. Now we'll see if Irontide has an energy to play from hand. And indeed they do, and onto the Beldum it goes, a nice metal energy. Back to Stoneheart, we draw another energy from the top of the deck. Well, first we're going to evolve Porygon into Porygon 2. And that Grass Energy that was just drawn will be attached to the Porygon 2. So we're going to go ahead and use the Sharpen attack, which does 20 damage. Here we see Irontide, I believe just drew the escape rope. Now we're going to evolve Beldum into Metang on the bench. Turn is passed back to Stoneheart. And we just drew the legendary Virizion off the top of the deck. Let's go for another Sharpen attack, 20 more damage put onto the active Meowth. And Irontide attaches another metal energy to the Metang on the bench, which then evolves into Metagross. All it needs is 2 more energy attached of any type to be able to use its attack, which does 80 damage. Of course, it's got to be in the active spot to do that, which it can easily do using the Magnetic Warp ability. But instead of doing anything further, turn passes back to Stoneheart, who draws another Porygon, and Porygon 2 will do another Sharpen attack, enough damage to knock out Meowth, and take the first prize of the game. So into the discard pile it goes, and Irontide shall send up the other Meowth, probably just to take some hits while Metagross powers up further on the bench. We see another energy being attached, a water energy this time, and the turn is passed back to Stoneheart. Now there's plenty of energy in hand. We're going to start powering up the Virizion on the bench, and do a Sharpen attack for 20 damage onto the Meowth. Another energy has been drawn. Now, instead of using the Magnetic Warp ability, Iron Tide will play Escape Rope. Now, interestingly enough, both the ability and Escape Rope have a similar effect. Both players will switch their active Pokemon for a bench one. However, using the Escape Rope makes your opponent switch first, whereas the Magnetic Warp makes you switch first. So, in a case where there's several bench Pokemon, you gotta choose which one of these to use. You can either have your opponent switch first and then bring up something super effective, or if you do the switch first with the ability, your opponent can bring something super effective. In this case, Regirock was brought up and then knocked out immediately by Metagross' attack. The game is now even at 5 prizes remaining for both sides. And we're powering up that Grizion just in case the Iron Tide starts to take the lead. Grizion has an attack that will benefit from being higher in prizes than the opponent. So Porygon 2 got off a Sharpen for 20 damage, and the bench Meowth has now evolved into Persian, while an Eevee has been added to the bench on Iron Tide side. And the Metagross goes for another 80 damage attack, taking down the Porygon 2. Another prize has been taken, and up comes Grizion from the bench. So here we'll see the benefit of the Ace Trainer card. If you are higher in prize count than your opponent, you can play Ace Trainer. If you're not, you can't. And what it does is both players shuffle their hand into the deck. The player of the card draws 6 cards, and the opponent only draws 3. So a good way to sort of set your opponent back, especially after they've taken a few of those prize cards. Next up on the Stoneheart side, we do have another basic Porygon, but we have one on the bench. Do we need another one? Not quite. We're going to start powering up that Spinnerack. Now, Grizion will get to make use of its prize count attack, doing 40 damage plus 80 more if you are higher in prize count. So that's a whopping 120, bringing Metagross up to 140 damage in total, 10 HP away from fainting. So Iron Tide manages to draw a Tierno, which itself allows you to draw 3 more cards. And you see they just drew their own Ace Trainer, which they're going to have to hang on to, because if the match starts to turn towards Stoneheart's favor, Ace Trainer could give them an advantage. Important to decide what to do. We have Magikarp being added to the bench, and the Persian is getting powered up on the bench as well. And now, the Iron Cannon of Metagross is going to be used, but the special effect is going to come into play. Discard all metal energy attached, and this does 80 damage plus 80 more damage, for a total of 160, which is more than enough to take down the legendary Grizion, and gain another prize on the Iron Tide side. So up comes the Porygon from the bench. A Healing Scarf is drawn, which when attached to a Pokemon will heal 20 damage every time you give an energy to it from hand. But with no damage really on the Pokemon just yet, the Healing Scarf isn't necessary, and the turn is passed back to Iron Tide. That Metagross just needs one more hit from anything that does damage to get knocked out. So if Porygon can get one more energy attached, it can use its Sharpen attack. But then we see a Healing Scarf added to the Metagross, and an energy added to the Metagross, which is going to heal 20, keeping it in play for several more turns, I'm sure. Now, although it doesn't have enough energy left to attack just yet, it needs 2 metal and 2 colorless, it's still going to be able to keep in play if it heals with each energy attachment. So another energy is added to Porygon, which will allow it to use its Sharpen attack, which puts that 20 damage right back on. See, another energy has been drawn on the Iron Tide side of the field, which is going right onto that Metagross, and the Healing Scarf is going to remove that Sharpen attack damage right there. But again, no energy to attack back. So Oddish has been drawn. Still somewhat limited in the options on the Stoneheart side. All we can really do is keep doing that 20 damage with Sharpen and hope the opponent just doesn't happen to draw an energy one turn. Now on the bench of Iron Tide, Magikarp has evolved into Gyarados. Next up, my opponent shall decide to play a Healing Scarf onto Gyarados. Now this Gyarados has the Theta Double Ancient trait, which allows it to have two tool cards attached to it. So a Fighting Energy has been drawn on the Stone Heart side, and a new Porygon has been added, and the energy goes right onto it. So the Sharpen attack finally does do the last amount of damage needed to take down that powerful Metagross, and it looks like the prize card on Stone Heart side was an Ariados. So Iron Tide sends up the Persian, almost said Meowth, from the bench, which is currently the only Pokemon with energy attached to be able to attack. So Persian uses Fake Out, which does 30 damage, and on a coin flip of heads, paralyzes the opponent. Now this leaves Porygon with just 30 HP remaining, which means one more Fake Out from Persian will be enough to take it down. And Gloom has been drawn and placed right onto the bench to evolve Oddish. Spinnerack has evolved into Ariados. And the ability, which is, let me look it up here, Poisonous Nest. Both active Pokemon are now poisoned, except for Grass types. Now, Professor's Letter is being played to draw two basic energy cards directly out of the deck. Looks like a Grass and a Fighting have been selected. So the Poisonous Nest ability would be really good in a deck featuring primarily Grass types, because any Grass type that's active will not be affected by it. Had we been able to retreat that Porygon, we could have sent up the Gloom instead, but of course being paralyzed prevents you from retreating. So energy is not being given because a little bit confusion there. I wasn't sure if I had played an energy or not that turn. I think I played one on the Porygon, so just to be safe I chose not to attach an energy because I don't want to, possibly get two energy attached by accident. So poison damage has been affected by both sides, and paralysis does end for Porygon. However, a Fake Out from Persian is going to be enough to finally take that Porygon down. So we'll see the battle is turning towards the Iron Tide side of things. Two prizes remain on their side, with Stoneheart having 4 prizes. So Gloom has been chosen to promote to the active slot, just as the foil Regirock has been drawn onto the bench here. Not quite sure what to do at this point. We have an energy in hand. We're not sure who to give it to, but we're going to go for the Regirock. We could have given it to Gloom to do 30 damage with the Drool attack, but that plus the poison damage still wouldn't be enough to take out Persian on this turn, and they could just retreat next turn. Now Iron Tide shall play another Persian onto the bench to evolve another Meowth. It looks like there might be a bit of an energy problem for Iron Tide at this point. Although we do see a Metal Energy being given to the Gyarados. Gyarados is the next heaviest hitter in the Iron Tide deck. So we do see a Fake Out from Persian, which does 30 damage. The coin flip was a Tails, however, so no paralysis this time. And a Tierno has been drawn for Stoneheart, allowing the drawing of 3 additional cards. Combee has been placed onto the bench, while a Healing Scarf is being given to Metagross wants to heal damage from itself, while Gloom can do just the same thing by attaching a basic energy from hand and healing 20 damage. So the Drool attack does connect for 3 more damage, or 30 more damage, 3 more damage counters, totaling 90, which is Persian's max HP, and down goes the cat. Prize card is going to be a switch card. Iron Tide chooses to promote the Gyarados to the active slot. As we say, they draw another Meowth, which goes right onto their bench. No energy to attack back, the turn passes back to Stoneheart, who draws a Vileplume off the top of the deck. So we see Combee evolves into Vespiquen, and the ability, the Poisonous Nest, is going to poison that Gyarados, leaving Gloom unpoisoned thanks to being a grass type. So we use the Drool attack from Gloom to do 30, and between turns, Poison adds one more damage counter onto Gyarados. With a water energy being drawn, Gyarados will get to heal 20 damage thanks to the Healing Scarf attached, and it does now have enough damage, or enough energy, to do some damage with its first attack. And I'm going to look that up right now. Something Retaliation. Full Retaliation, there we go. So poison damage between turns. You see a Gloom seems to have been drawn off the top of the deck for Stoneheart. No other Oddish in play to evolve that right now, so we're going to do the Drool attack for 30 damage. And an additional 10 damage from poison between turns. There was another water energy onto Gyarados to heal 20 more damage. Slowly powering up for that final attack, the Thrash attack. And then the Pokemon Center Lady is going to heal the remainder of the damage plus that poison. So Gyarados is looking pretty good at this point and manages to strike back 30 more damage with full retaliation. Gloom is just barely hanging in there for the moment. So the Poisonous Nest will activate once again thanks to Ariados on the bench to poison both active Pokemon, unless they're grass types. And another grass energy is being added to the Gloom to heal 20 damage back thanks to the Healing Scarf. And it's at this point we're going to evolve it into Vileplume. Now, at this point, Vileplume's ability prevents all item cards from being played by either trainer. That ability is known as Irritating Pollen, which is a very appropriate name, I would say. So the Solar Beam from Vileplume does a whopping 70 damage, and then 10 more is taken between turns from the poison. Now one more energy is being given to the Gyarados, which does heal 20, and powers up that Thrash attack, which does 100 damage plus 30 more when you flip a heads. 130 total. Even at full HP, that's enough to bring down Vileplume in a single hit. On a coin flip of tails, Thrash will cause Gyarados to do 30 damage to itself. And one more prize has been taken on the Iron Tide. One prize remains. Stoneheart is looking a little bit desperate here. We only got half of our prizes taken thus far. Time for the headliner of the deck to take the field, Regirock. We're going to throw a second energy onto Regirock, which powers up its Rock Throw attack. And we're going to bench an Oddish. So Rock Throw will connect, doing 40 damage to Gyarados. One more damage between turns from poison. Leaves Gyarados at 20 HP remaining. Iron Tide will play a Beldum onto the bench. Now there are actually two Metagross in the Iron Tide deck. So even though one has been taken down, the second one can still come into play. We're going to see 20 damage healed off of Gyarados thanks to the Healing Scarf, and another Thrash attack comes in. If they get a heads, they will knock out Regirock in a single hit. However, on a flip of tails, 30 damage done to Gyarados itself. 100 is still done to Regirock, of course. And then between turns, poison damage is going to knock out Gyarados, bringing it to its max damage of 130. So thankfully that's one more heavy hitter off that side of the field, and Grass Energy has been drawn as the prize card. Up comes Persian from the bench to take the active slot, while Stoneheart draws a level ball. And in a good way, with Vileplume being knocked out, I'm allowed to play my own item cards, so I can use the level ball to look for a Pokemon of 90 HP or less. That's going to be Porygon 2. Into the hand it goes, and the shuffling up. Away goes the level ball, and evolve Porygon into Porygon 2 right on the bench. So at this point, with one more energy in hand, Regirock can have its final attack powered up, which is called Unyielding Rock. So it's going to do 60 damage. It does 60 more if the opponent's active Pokemon is an EX. However, thanks to Persian's weakness to fighting types, it's going to do double damage regardless. So 120, knocking out Persian in a single hit. And we see, just like that, the battle has been evened up. Both decks remain one prize left. Eevee's going to grab a Metal Energy and do a tackle attack for 10 damage, bringing Regirock to just 10 HP remaining. But as we see, we draw a Grass Energy. We're going to evolve, although pretty much we don't need to because we're going to go for that Rock Throw attack. We're not going to overpower them. Just going to do a Rock Throw for basic 80, which is well in excess, well not well, but in excess of Eevee's max HP of 60, getting knocked out, and the final prize has been drawn. So in this particular match, Stoneheart comes out the winner, and there we have it. So as you can see, it was a really close match. These two decks are pretty well evenly balanced. The Stoneheart won by just a single prize out of the 5 matches, although it did win 3 out of the 5 games. So maybe it has a little bit more of an edge, and I thought that might have been the case where the normal types in the Iron Tide deck are weak to fighting, which is Regirock's type, as well as a lot of the water types in the Iron Tide deck are weak to grass, and the Stoneheart deck has a lot of grass-type Pokemon as well. Plus the ability to poison your opponent whenever you want to without any coin flip or anything like that from Ariados. That's always useful. And Vileplume's ability to shut off items is actually pretty useful as well. So either or deck, you know, they both have their strong points. A good strong point in the Iron Tide is the magnetic, what is it called? Magnetic Pull, I believe? Magnetic Warp for Metagross. Being able to control the battlefield a little bit better. So there's good high points to either deck. Either one is going to be a good pickup if you want to pick up one of these new theme decks in the Ancient Origins expansion. So I highly recommend either one. Just choose your favorite type and go with that. So next video is going to be a theme deck fusion, taking both of these theme decks, putting them together, taking out some of the excess stuff that you don't really need, and making it a more competitive deck. So watch for that next week, and I'm going to compare this deck to the prior fusion deck from the Roaring Skies set, which I labeled Aurora Storm, I believe. We're going to see which of the 2 expansions are the more powerful. Alright, thanks for checking out this video, and I'll catch you next time.